It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State.
Ow.
Jalen
Ow.
Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe.
Phoenix has the ball, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
DeBrincat gets it back to Goss, straight across, now King.
Raymond. They score! Raymond!
James Bond got to the throw, and it's caught by St. Brown for a first down.
This is BS Sports.
And welcome in. On what was originally what I thought was going to be a rainy, depressing Tuesday night. Hold on, let me just... Oh, that's good. That's good. What I thought was going to be just a rainy, depressing Tuesday night, it's actually got, it's less. I can see some blue there. It's pretty nice out. It's, earlier today it was pouring rain. I was just glad that I didn't get caught in it both driving to work and walking into the office and then out of the office. But we got a great show. I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to doing this show probably since at least Sunday. I mean, I always look forward to doing the show. What can I say? I enjoy doing the show. I enjoy talking to the people, telling them how it is. But for a myriad of reasons, I've been looking forward to this show. One, football is back. We're going to do the picks. Preseason week 1 coming up Thursday night. Lions, Giants going to be playing. We will be live reacting to that. Just a little bit of a show note there at the beginning of the show. We also got some baseball talk. I have a little bit, I suppose you could say it was a little bit of a Tigers controversy over the weekend, but it had nothing to do with the team's putrid play against the Kansas City Royals. We won't talk about the games because, frankly, I don't care at this point. The team stinks and they're not going to be good. Basically, short of Colt Keith continuing to develop and Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter coming back, I really don't care about that baseball team. But obviously, that is not the headliner. Headliner, title of the show, Michigan is, in fact, a bunch of cheaters. Something that we all knew. Basically, now, here's the thing. Let me explain. I say we in a very, I suppose you could say liberal sense, right? We, as in, people with brains knew that Michigan were cheating. The moment that all this stuff started to come out, that Michigan was spying on their opponents, that Michigan was stealing their signs, that Michigan was doing all sorts of shady things and bending the rules and breaking the rules. And everybody with common sense was like, oh, okay, they cheated. All right, that's not great. It makes them look kind of suspicious. And then obviously they ended up winning the national championship, go undefeated, probably the best season from a record standpoint for Michigan. And it was like, oh, okay, well, they were obviously pretty good regardless. So they're basically just the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros in 2017, they win their little World Series. It comes out 2 years later, they were a bunch of cheating scumbags and nobody respects them. All right, great, works for me. That's fine by me. All right. So I think most people knew, but there were many Michigan fans. And when I say Michigan fans, I want to specify. I mean Michigan fans that almost certainly did not go to the university in question, because people who go to U of M theoretically have to be a little smart. So if you didn't go to the university, you are at least not as smart enough to get into the university. With that being said, ESPN on Sunday, Pete Thamel and Dan Murphy dropped what I consider to be a bomb. And I usually on this show, we don't do article breakdowns. That's really not my cup of tea. I frankly don't usually read a lot of these articles unless I'm very interested in this particular topic. And in this case, I was incredibly interested. So, Pete Thamel and Dan Murphy drop this article. Michigan football coach Sharon Moore violated NCAA rules. NOA draft says. That is the notice of allegations draft from the NCAA to the University of Michigan. So we're going to go through a couple of sections here and just point out to the parts where basically, again, if you had any level of common sense at the time, you would identify, oh, yes, of course, we knew this going in. This is not news to us, but might be news to some people. So for the sake of those people, we'll go ahead and, break it down. So the draft, which is subject to change, states Moore could face a show cause penalty and possibly a suspension for allegedly deleting a thread of 52 text messages with former Michigan staffer Connor Stalions in October of 2023, on the same day that media reports revealed Stalions was leading an effort to capture the play calling signals of future opponents. So let's see. Connor Stalions was a lone wolf. Nobody knew. No, guess not. Because the guy who's your current head coach thought it was necessary to delete all the text message. And what a crazy coincidence this is. On the day that the whole thing comes out, again, an amazing coincidence. And oh my gosh, what? I don't know where they went. My text I just sometimes I delete my text messages. Sometimes I just delete 52 text messages. Look, we don't know specifically what they were talking about. And the article doesn't necessarily say what they were talking about. But I don't know about you. I like to think I have a little bit of common sense. I like to think I can make, one-on-one connections here. Let me give you an example. If I hear a rumor, right, that a coworker is having an affair with another coworker behind said person's wife or husband, and when news of this starts to emerge and one or both of the parties decide, let's delete all of our messages, is that typically the kind of innocent behavior? Oh, you think they were just, maybe they were just talking about their stock portfolios. Maybe they were talking about, what NFL game they're looking forward to watch. Maybe they were talking about their favorite restaurant in Ann. No. Okay, let's not be idiots, all right? They were talking about this game. 100%. And frankly, if they were not, then Sharon Moore is a moron for not understanding that it looks incredibly incriminating for you to just delete as if you never contacted this person the moment it comes out that he's guilty as sin. Anyway, we move on. Here we go. Former Michigan staff members Jimothy Harbaugh, Chris Partridge, Denard Robinson, also former quarterback of Michigan, and Stalions are also accused of committing level 1 violations, the most serious category in the NCAA's enforcement process. The school also faces a level 1 charge, according to the draft, because of its, quote, pattern of non-compliance within the football program and institutional efforts to hinder or thwart the NCAA's investigation. Former coaches Jesse Minter and Steve Clinkscale, hope I'm pronouncing that right, are also accused of recruiting violations unrelated to the Stalions in the draft. I don't really care that much about the recruiting violations. They're against the rules. You should punish people for breaking the rules, regardless of whether or not you like the rules. I don't personally care that much about recruiting violations. But this also indicates this pattern of the pattern of non-compliance. This whole Michigan versus everybody, as if it's like they're trying to have it both ways. And Michigan fans, some of you will understand this, some of you will not. What you can't do, you can't say Michigan versus everybody, and then when everybody has a say, act like, oh, we're innocent. People are just mean. People don't know anything. They don't know the facts. There's no evidence. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's like you're clearly putting yourself out there as if you're, the oppressed minority, right? Everybody's coming after you. And then also saying, oh, well, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. Stop coming after us. We didn't do anything wrong. We're so cool. Oh, you guys are just, it's like, no, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. So, logic is a little hard, but either way. Stalions resigned in early November following a week of public reports detailing his scheme of purchasing tickets to games around the country and directing a network of individuals to video the sidelines in an effort to decode their play calling signals. The NCAA's draft obtained by ESPN states that investigators used ticket information, film, photographs, and interviews to determine that Stallions had impermissibly scouted at least 13 future Michigan opponents on at least 58 occasions between 2021 and 2023. And, I got to say, it's just one heck of a gosh darn coincidence that just so happens to coincide with when Michigan started winning football games. I mean, ain't that just a heck of a coincidence? I mean, damn. That's like, maybe Connor Stanley should buy a lottery ticket with coincidences like that. I mean, right at the moment when he starts to investigate these sorts of things, then they start to figure it out. With that being said, before the Michigan fans get upset, no, they didn't win because they cheated. They probably would have won anyway. But gosh darn, it must have helped. Like, it certainly isn't going to hurt you. You wouldn't be doing it if it didn't help you. Similar to the Houston Astros in 2017. They probably would have won without the cheating. But it certainly didn't help to cheat. It certainly did help to cheat. So, there it is. Here is also the kicker. And this one, this is like the icing on the cake. The draft also states the NCAA gathered evidence that shows Stallions was on the sideline at Michigan State's season opening game against Central Michigan in 2023. Stallions was wearing a bench press, Central Michigan coaching gear, and a disguise, according to the draft, which states that Stallions' conduct, quote, seriously undermined or threatened the integrity of the NCAA collegiate model. The draft does not say how Stallions obtained a bench pass for the Chippewas sidelines. Well, you don't say. You know what's crazy about this? You know what's crazy? I remember the moment this came out, on the day, I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. Like, it's him. He's on. And then, no, we don't know. How do you know? He doesn't even look like him. He has a beard, and then he doesn't have a beard. How did he do it? What kind of magical technology did he use to go from beard to no beard? How did he do it? Well, apparently he had a disguise. As anybody at the time could observe. And why, I don't know why he decided to have his most elaborate scheme to spy on Michigan State this past year, because frankly, you could have blindfolded Michigan and they would have still beaten Michigan State by 120 points. But nevertheless, I'm sure it didn't hurt to go ahead and, learn all of our plays the year, like going into the year. And this was one of those things where there were so many people who were like, well, we don't know. You got no evidence. All you got is some picture. Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's him. And it's like, well, no, now it's as clear as, of course it was him. It was always him. The only people who suggested that it wasn't him were people who didn't think that Michigan did anything wrong anyway. And look, there's a lot of people who will say, well, how do we even know it gives an advantage? Couldn't you just watch the games on TV? Couldn't you just... All right, I'm gonna propose a little challenge for some people, and this may shock you. I want you to go ahead and college football is going to be starting here in a little bit. I want you to pick any football game, any college football game. I want you to record that broadcast, and I want you to watch it. And then I want you to come back to me with an entire decoding list of all of one team's play calls and all their signals and get back to me. Right? Yes, you can probably decode something. You can't decode the entire playbook. You need to have somebody on the ground who every time we see what play they're doing, okay, camera on the offensive coordinator, camera on the head coach, and then we'll see what play they run, and we'll try to make the connection. You can't do that on a TV broadcast because there aren't 24/7 cameras that are constantly being shown on the broadcast to the coach and then the team. If they could do that, you'd have somebody just doing it live. Anyway, I feel like I have to explain this like I'm talking to children sometimes. And in some cases, maybe I am talking to children. Here's another one. Let me see. Right here. Where is it? The NCAA's draft said the Stallions failed to cooperate with its investigation. The draft states that in October of 2023, he removed hard drives from the Michigan football offices and also gave a football player a sheet containing play calling signals of a future opponent. It said Stallions asked the player to bring the sheet to a team intern's house until he could retrieve it later. This is actually like a mob movie. It's like, yeah, here's this briefcase full of cash. Can you put it underneath your sink so that nobody asks about it? Stallions also refused to let the school review his phone. According to the draft, Stallions has yet to publicly share many details about his side of the story, but he is expected to be interviewed for the upcoming Netflix, which is going to be, that Netflix documentary is going to be, that is going to be must-see TV. I am curious to hear what this guy has to say, because I'm sure it'll be absolutely enlightening. But look, all of this is to say, all of the things that every common sense person who is not a Michigan slappy, it's all in there. We were saying it in October. And it was like, no, you don't know anything. Where's the notice of allegations? Where's the evidence? And then they're like, oh, here it is. And then now it's and now it's just Michigan is just where. Hold on, where. However, I wish it was actually the dial tone, because unfortunately for everyone involved, some of these people have the ability to speak. And to quote the great Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent when speaking about one Jar Jar Binks. Jim Harbaugh, who, look, I've said this before on the show. I actually do kind of like Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a good football guy. He's an entertaining character. And I largely don't have any problems with him on a personal level. I know there's some people who think he's like a total derelict, whatever. I really don't have much problems with him. However, he's really pushing it for me, because what he said in a presser with the Los Angeles Chargers, when he was asked about this, what he could have done, which would have been probably smart and would have not made him unlikable, he could have said, you know what? This is past my prerogative. I'm the coach of the Chargers right now, not the coach of Michigan. Anything that comes out, no comment. No comment. Instead, he decides to speak. And I quote, "Never lie, never cheat, never steal," the former Michigan coach and current Los Angeles Chargers coach told reporters on Monday. "I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams I have coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So for me, it's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind." Well, gosh darn you, Jim. If only. So basically, here's the two situations for old Jimmy boy. Either A, he is just lying, right? So then his whole never lie, never cheat, never steal thing, that's just total nonsense. Or option B, he was too stupid to identify the myriad of red flags and take any responsibility for not noticing the myriad of red flags and saying anything at all. He hired essentially an insane person who wrote a 500 billion page manifesto about how he was going to take over the Michigan program and world domination. I think he was going to go to Mars too. And Jimmy boy was none the wiser. I mean, wasn't it all, wasn't it your old coach? What was his name? Not Buck Showalter. That's the Mets manager and New York Yankees manager. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I am blanking on the Michigan coach's name. Now I got to look this up. Hold on. Michigan football coach history. I don't know. Bo Schembechler. I knew it was a Bo. Wasn't it old Bo Schembechler who said that, you can't say you didn't know? If you're the coach, if you're the CEO, you can't say you didn't know. You have to take full responsibility. That was your coach, Jim. That was your guy. That was the guy you looked up to. And maybe they just had a disagreement. Maybe they just didn't agree on that particular area. That's okay. That's okay. So look, again, I've said this before. I don't actually hate Jim Harbaugh. I for the most part enjoy Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a interesting, kind of wacky guy. But this comment to me, that's just egregious, right? I mean, like literally though, like they did lie, right? I mean, I don't think there's any way around that. Like they definitely cheated, and they literally steal. Like they actually, that is a part of the thing, is that they stole signs, right? Like that they stole signals. So like all three of the things they did, like never lie, never cheat, never steal. So I mean, to be fair, maybe he was saying, he did say, I preached that lesson to the teams I have coached. He didn't necessarily say that it was to all the teams that he coached. So maybe he just didn't tell Michigan that. Maybe he was going to get to it, but then the investigation got all hectic, and he had to go ahead and leave. Because as we know, people who are innocent of all crimes, they typically run away from investigations and any sort of ramifications for their own choices. That's typically what people who don't do anything wrong do, of course. With all that being said, as I know, there will inevitably be a lot of Michigan fans talking about, oh, he still won, natty check, ring check. Okay, have your ring. That's fine. I really, if it was my team, I'd probably be doing the same thing. I understand. It's hard to win. Sometimes you gotta bend the rules a little bit. I'm not gonna respect it. I don't think most people should respect it. You can make fun of my team. My coach got caught, with his what in his hand while on the phone with a sexual assault, survivor. So, hey, we can be made fun of for a variety of things, Some of us cheat. Some of us cheat on our wives. I do neither, largely. It'd be hard for me to cheat on a wife that I don't have. And I don't really know what I would cheat on. I'm not in school. I don't know how to end this segment. You know what? Lou Holtz, do you have any comment?
Well, I don't get the ring man comb.
Thanks, Lou. Lou Holtz, man. Could you imagine if Lou Holtz was caught in this? What if Lou Holtz was what if he was like the unnamed booster? I know he wouldn't be, but I'm just saying it'd be kind of funny.
Well, I don't get the ring man comb.
That clip will never not be funny to me. If anybody can identify like any words that he is saying, let me know. You know what's the best part of that clip? Not to get too much on a side tangent. Like in that clip, like what's his name? Reese Davis responds to him as if he knows what he's saying. Like if you go back and you watch that clip, because it's on the internet, it's very easy to find. Like he responds to him, and like unfortunately, the response doesn't actually help me identify what was said. One of the great clips of the internet. Speaking of one of the clips of the internet, because we're an equal opportunity show, right? Like, look, it's very, full disclosure, right? I'm a Michigan State alum. I'm a Michigan State fan. I've been a Michigan State fan since I was a young lad, right? So full disclosure, we make fun of our own teams sometimes on this show. Former coach Mel Tucker is suing the university over the firing. The federal lawsuit filed Wednesday in Michigan accuses school officials of undertaking an improper and sham investigation of allegations that Tucker sexually harassed and exploited rape survivor and activist Brenda Tracy. Now what? Is there potential that Michigan State might have had some improper investigational practice? I don't know. I don't know what their investigation practice looks like. Frankly, I don't think it really matters. They're not like a legal I mean, I guess they're a university, but they're not like, law enforcement, right? They don't need a warrant exactly. Obviously they can't break into his house. You understand what I mean? They don't need like, clear and concise. They need as much evidence as they are willing to tolerate, right? So here's the thing, right? When I saw this story initially, I was like, great. This guy who did the closest thing this guy did for Michigan State was give us 1 year of hope since D'Antonio left. 1 year of Kenneth Walker taking over college football to the point where he made Mel Tucker millions of dollars. He made Peyton Thorne, Joe Montana. I don't know what I was like mixing. I was mixing a myriad of quarterbacks, and that was not. Anyway, Mel Tucker is nothing more than a complete and utter scam artist. Like this guy, he admits. Okay, here's the thing. This seems to always kind of go over people. He admitted that he did the thing that they are accusing him of doing. The only difference is that he says it was consensual. Now, here's the thing. I'm a pretty understanding guy. I'm not particularly. I understand some people coming at life in different places. That was not a pun. That sounded really weird. I understand. Some people aren't going to live the way that I would personally prescribe, and vice versa. However, Mel Tucker, my brother, you were having sex with someone you love in a hotel room, and you expect me to view you as the sympathetic party? No. Like you get everything you deserve at this point. Like, first of all, like, even if it was consensual, this kind of activity is not becoming of a head coach in college football. Like, this is creepy, disgusting stuff. Second of all, Mel Tucker, you, at least at the time, were a married man. So even if you want to say that, whatever, let people do whatever they want, he's married. Like, what is he doing? Playing with his wrench, like, with another woman on the line. Like that. So that alone. But I actually, if he's going to sue Michigan State, I offer this. I offer a countersue. Now, I'm not really a lawyer, and I don't really know that much about the law. I know about as much about the law as what I've learned watching court TV very briefly in my life. Over brief periods of time, I would watch Judge Judy, not deliberately. It would just sort of be on. It was like one of those things that it's like always on in waiting rooms, or like if you were home from school for a day and, there's nothing else on TV, I'll throw on a Judge Judy. I don't want to change the channel. I got to walk up to the TV and push the buttons because the remote doesn't work. Look, I'm 24 years old. We had to do that sometimes. Anyway, so that's basically my legal expertise. And I am going to countersue. I have a few lawsuits in mind. Number one is false advertising. Mel Tucker advertised himself in the year of our Lord, 2021. He advertised himself as a competent head coach, as a transfer portal guru, bringing in Kenneth Walker, when in fact, in reality, he was nothing more than a sham. He did not actually know how to do anything. He happened upon, he won the lottery. He happened upon the best running back I've ever seen at Michigan State, maybe one of the best running backs in college football, short of your Reggie Bushes and, some of the other, and Barry Sanders and all those guys who played for multiple years. In a single season, Kenneth Walker had one of the most dominant seasons purely from the fact that the offense the year Kenneth Walker was there was very good. And then the offense, once he left, was putrid, like abysmally bad. That is how good Kenneth Walker was. So false advertising on Mel Tucker. Second crime I'm going to countersue on is highway robbery. He got paid $1 billion for not knowing what he was doing, for having incompetent morons as coordinators in, I can't remember their names at this point. Jay Johnson and the other guy, the other Nimrod, the guy with the beard, Scotty Hazelton. So highway robbery, he paid them they got paid millions of dollars. He got paid millions of dollars. They just stole that money. They just straight up stole that money, like Bonnie and Clyde. Like they ran it. You know what it was? It was like that scene at the beginning of The Dark Knight where they just went in with all the money at the bank, at the mob bank. That's what they did. They put on masks, they put on little clown masks, and then they ended up killing each other. They didn't do that. That's not true. Well, I don't think that. I actually don't know. Isn't Jay Johnson? Isn't he at like Toledo now? I want to say like he's at Toledo as an offensive coordinator. How the heck do these guys still get jobs? That's amazing to me. Like, I understand that like for a lot of these smaller programs, right? Like if you have you worked at Michigan State, maybe you weren't that good, but you were there, right? Like there's some benefit to that. And I know it's not like whatever we see on TV is its own thing as far as the product on the field. But my goodness, it's like it seems like in sports specifically, that is like once you get a high level job, you're never going to be unemployed, like ever. Like Rich Rodriguez was an awful coach at Michigan, and he is still coaching in college football. I guess Mel Tucker's not coaching in college football, but hey, that's what you get for getting caught with your garden hose in your hand. What was the other crime that I wanted to commit him? That I wanted to counter sue with? I had a third one I want to say. I guess false advertising, highway robbery, maybe like destruction of property. So this is a little more vague. He destroyed everyone's hopes and dreams. That's my property. I have my hopes and dreams are my hopes and dreams. You destroyed them. You made me think that maybe Michigan State was going to be on another, half a decade to a decade of fun football. No, you destroyed that. I guess that kind of falls under false advertising. All this is to say, Mel Tucker has no grounds to actually sue Michigan State, really. I mean, like, again, he is public enemy number one in all of college football. He is the quintessential example of why you don't pay your coaches early, or why it could backfire. Not necessarily why you don't pay your coaches early, because sometimes it's the cost of doing business. And I will say because there were people who after the fact were like, oh wow, how could they pay him all that money? As if like there wasn't the rumors of LSU being interested in Mel Tucker, and as if like other people were not saying, oh, well, he's really shown that he's here to stay. Maybe you go ahead and you pay him. And at that point, obviously the COVID season, do with it what you will. He was 2-0 against his biggest rival in Michigan. I'm not saying it was a good idea. I'm not saying it worked out, but like, I don't want to do this revisionist history where at the time, people were like, wow, this is way too much money. Like he won a New Year's Six bowl. That was that was the last real success Michigan State football had. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, and also I don't really know what crime this is, but he started Noah Kim at quarterback. I can't specifically cite a law that's being broken. Maybe like cruel and unusual punishment, or like torture, something like that. Like torture on multiple accounts. Torture for all the people who had to watch, like me, and then torture for poor Noah Kim, who watched all of his dreams die. He's probably, man, I'm a Big Ten quarterback. Michigan State, they won Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. Come on, like we're gonna bring football back. And then he just stinks. He's dead.
Not great, Bob.
Not great indeed. Not great indeed. So yeah, Mel Tucker. You know what? I wish you the best in that. I want you to stop being a bad person. So stop being a bad person, and then maybe we could talk about maybe being a coach at like I don't know, Montana State. They're always looking for a coach, or maybe like University of Maine. Do they have a university? I don't even know. Harvard. Maybe they could use a football coach. You're smart. No, never mind. You're not really. I don't think you'd work that. What about South Park Elementary? I don't know. The pigs, the cows. They could use a football coach. I think. I don't know that much about South Park. maybe start small. No, start small, and then work your way back up. Again, I don't really know how to end the segment, so you know what?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
That's probably Mel Tucker every single day. It's just
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
thank you, Vice President Kamala. You know what I hate? I hate like when the ice is like just small enough that I can't avoid it. I just want the water, but I like the ice for the cold. I got water all on me. You can't even see it in the camera, but it's on me. I guess it's not that bad. Anyway. You know what's crazy? Michigan State football is in, let's see, 1, 2, 3 weeks. 3 weeks from this Friday is Michigan State football. That's nuts. That's like crazy to me. I mean, like, you got Lions football this Thursday. So, and I think it's Thursday and then a Friday. Could be wrong on that. Maybe Thursday, Saturday, and then Sunday, I think. I don't really know. I know it's preseason and then there's the week off and then it's the regular season. It's crazy. It's crazy. So good to have football back. But this is not football related. I guess we'll do a little bit of baseball here. So I'm not really going to talk about the Tigers until we'll get to it, because there's something I want to talk to you all about. Give my own opinion, but I wanted to do a quick standings check because I don't think we did this last week. Given the trade deadline was basically the talk of the town. So let's go ahead and talk MLB standings as we enter the month of August. We got technically two whole months left of the regular season. And the wild card race is, in fact, wild. So, especially in the American League, the Guardians are leading the league in terms of record, 67 and 45. Like, I don't want to jinx it because I know Cleveland has quite the history of not winning the World Series, but they're like very quietly like one of the best teams in baseball, certainly in the American League. Now, I don't know if they're better than say the Dodgers or the Phillies, but hey, the Dodgers and the Phillies got to get to the World Series to face the Guardians if that is the case. But the thing that I want to focus on is the wild card and then the American League leader. So the Orioles are tied with the Yankees in both the top 2 wild card spots and on top of the division. Like that AL East division race, I wish that the Tigers were amidst something like this, because this must be incredibly. Every single game's got to count for something, because obviously you want to have that leader spot. You give yourself home field advantage, and you don't have to play in the wild card round if you're that second seed, which they would end up being, as they're ahead. They're a good spot ahead of the Seattle Mariners, who are ahead in the West, which is also kind of crazy to think, because they were. I mean, I guess they were ahead, and then Houston was kind of coming back, and then Houston's kind of falling back down to earth. It's weird. But those two teams, they're going at it. Jackson Holiday, which is funny because I remember some people being like, "Oh, I don't want to trade Skubal for Jackson Holiday. He sucked. He went 0 for 1,000," and then he just like is absolutely raking as soon as he comes up after the trade deadline. I don't know what the asking if Jackson Holiday was ever in play at all. Most likely he wasn't. But if he was, and the Tigers couldn't make that move, I got nothing. I got nothing for that. Like that would be absolutely egregious stuff. Yeah, the Mariners as well. They're up there technically. I still don't. The Tigers are playing the Mariners tonight at 9:40 because they're out in Seattle. But I just don't like. Yeah, I guess somebody's got to win that division. That That American League West division, that is brutal stuff. But in the wild card, you got the Twins and you got the Royals. The Royals, I think they're a really fun team. They beat the heck out of the Tigers this weekend. They're a fun team. They got a lot of great young players, and they got Salvador Perez. I don't know how that guy continues to hit baseballs. He might be doing steroids. Not a joke. I'm just kidding. I like Salvi. I'm just kidding. Okay, that was an act. That was actually a joke. I like Salvador Perez. I hope that he doesn't actually do steroids. But Bobby Witt Jr. is, I'm pretty sure the guy hit like 100 billion over the past month. Like he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable, and he's at play right now for MVP. He really is. And look, if he doesn't win it, I would be shocked if he doesn't get any votes at this rate. But the Twins are just ahead of them by a little bit. I genuinely have no, like, the Twins are like the Mariners for me. I have no, like, they're not really a scary team to me. Like, at least I don't view them that way. They're like good enough. Like they are like, they're like slightly better fast food. It's like a tropical smoothie cafe. If you guys have ever had that, I don't even know if that's a nationwide thing, but it's like, yeah, it's better for you than like fast food, but it's like, still like not great for you, probably. And that's how I feel about the Twins. They're like better than like McDonald's, but they're not like, 5-course meal. They're not like a filet mignon or something. But yeah, Minnesota Twins. I don't know. But the AL Central team that I have to talk about, that I take no joy. No, that's not true. I take immense joy in talking about this. The Chicago White Sox have lost 21 straight games. They have tied the American League record for losses in a row. You know what's crazy? I never really noticed it until recently. They have won 27 total games. It is August. They have won less than the amount of games than the amount of days in every single month, including February. How is that even possible? I want to remind, 2 years ago, well, not 2, 3 years ago at this point, this baseball team was on top of the world, it seemed. They were division champs, Tim Anderson and Lou Bob and all those, and Dylan Cease and Giolito, and they have just absolutely cratered to the point where it is unrecognizable. Like this, they are, I think it's 3 more losses away from history. I want to say the MLB record is 24. Like, and the other thing is, they're playing the Oakland A's. And what you might be thinking is, well, it's the A's. Come on, they stink. Nay. Okay? The Oakland A's have 20 more wins than the White Sox. I didn't think that was possible. The Oakland A's have like 13 fans left. They're playing in empty stadiums, and you're losing to them. Their payroll is like that of a mom and pop store. Like, how are you losing to them? Look, again, I take great joy in watching the Chicago White Sox continue to. I hope they never win a game. I hope they never win again. And the other thing that was really sad is they could win out. They could never lose a game for the rest of the year. They'd still be below 500. That's so bad. Like that. To put it into perspective, the A's could win win all their games out, and they would be above 500. Every single team ahead of them would be in that spot. I'm pretty sure every single team in baseball, if they were to win all of their games, they would, from this point on, they would be above 500. Obviously, that isn't physically possible because they play each other, but you know what I mean. The Rockies, who are the worst team in the National League, still have like almost 20 more wins than the Chicago White Sox. You want to know what their run differential is? I want to give you a number. And I want, before you listen or before you look, and this is at the time of this recording, obviously it's going to change by the time this video is out. At the time of this recording, over under 200. 200. If it is over, there's this is like, all right, you ready? Here it is. 251. It was over. That is honestly one of the single saddest stats I've ever seen. Because it'd be one thing, right? If they were losing a lot of games, but they were close. Or it was good pitching, bad hitting. Or bad pitching, good hitting. So it was like high scoring games. You're losing games, 6-5, 7-8, or 8-7, I should say. Like you're losing games, but you're not getting blown out. No, they're getting blown out. Like they're getting shellacked. And what's even crazier? You want to guess how many games they've won on the road? 10. 10-48 on the road. I could beat this bare horse for hours. The Chicago White Sox, I mean, right now, they're basically on pace for being worse than the 2003 Tigers. They could, I don't know, I'd have to double check the record. They might beat the Philadelphia Athletic. Let me actually do that. Let's look up that record. Worst records in MLB history. Here we go. So the worst, that's from modern era. We're not gonna count the Cleveland Spiders. Modern era, the worst record was in 1916 when the Philadelphia Athletics lost 117 games. They won 36. They had a 235 win percentage. They were 54.5 games back. Needless to say, they didn't make the playoffs. But obviously, the amount of games. Actually, I think at this. No, okay, they were playing different amount of games at that point. And some of these are not equal. But as far as winning percentage goes, the Philadelphia Athletics played less games than the White Sox will. The White Sox have to win 9 games to match the Philadelphia Athletics win total. I just want to, now I'm like morbidly curious because I'm just on this right now. Let me see, what is their schedule? What do they have to look forward to? So right now, the Athletics, that's probably the closest thing they could get to a victory, right? They have the Cubs in a 2-game set. The Cubs, who are not that good, but still much better than the White Sox. They got the Yankees. That's a sweep. The Astros, probably a sweep. Maybe not, though. The Giants, they got the Tigers in a 4-game set. Like, that is... There's a lot of opportunities, but I really can't put any of them as absolute win. They got to be able to win. I mean, there's no way they can't win 9 games. They probably won't win 9 games this month, which is like so sad. They might. I don't know. I really don't. Like, oh boy, it's not good. But September. I mean, you got the Angels 2 times, 2-3 game sets. Get the 8. You have to be able to string together 9 wins. There's no way they're going to end up worse than the Philadelphia Athletics. However, there is a good chance that they end up worse than the 2003 Tigers, who won 43 games. Like, that, and as far as the team with the most losses ever, the New York Mets at 120, Tigers in 03 with 119. I mean, I don't think either of those are out of the picture. I really don't. Like, 119 has to be in the picture for sure. 117 probably in the picture. But still, I didn't think I was going to be able to go this far on the White Sox. But man, they're so bad. They are just so bad. And you just hate to see it. You just hate to see it. So All right. So I want to do a little segment on this because I didn't think it would be a controversy, but it is. So this past weekend, Saturday, to be exact, Jim Leland. Jim Leland had already made the Hall of Fame. Jim Leland had his number retired in Comerica Park. He's now permanently on that brick wall. If you've ever been to Comerica Park, if you've ever seen Comerica Park on TV, you got the brick wall. They got a myriad of players. They got Jack Morris. They got Willie Horton. They got Alan Trammell. They got Willie Whitaker. They got Sparky Anderson. They got Sparky Anderson was obviously the manager. They got all sorts of players. And they add Jim Leland. So I thought this was perfectly acceptable. Jim Leland, one of the all-time great managers of all time, just from a pure accolades perspective. World Series champ, 3-time pennant champ, 3-time manager of the year, and a Hall of Famer. Well, that is what fed into the Hall of Fame. An above 500 record as a manager. I believe he only had he had a good amount of losing season with those Pirate teams, but he did have that period of time in the early 90s there where the Pirates were in it, right? Like Pirate with Barry Bonds and all, like he was in it. He was that guy. But he didn't really make a name for himself until he got to the Florida Marlins in 97, won the World Series. And then the following year, they sold off all the players, and he probably fell. That team was gone. And then he spent a year with the Rockies, didn't do anything there, and promptly retired. Still, at that point, a pretty well-known and liked baseball guy. But I would argue he really reached his pinnacle as a manager with the Detroit Tigers. And now I don't say that as like he, reached, he didn't win a World Series, but his best string of seasons was with the Detroit Tigers from 2006 to 2013. For 8 years, he had a .540 win percentage, 700 total wins, which is third most in franchise history for a Tiger manager. He won 2 American League championships. He had a above 500 record in the postseason, and he got ejected 30 times, which is kind of funny. But like he was the Detroit Tigers from 2006 to 2013. I mean, that 2006 season is, famously, miraculous, famously amazing. And the multiple years of playoff success, the division titles, all of it. And then on top of it, Hall of Famer. He's a classic. I mean, you can just go online if you were not really a baseball fan in the early in the mid 2000s and the early 2010s, and you didn't really get to watch Jim Leland as a manager. Just go online and look up any Jim Leland manager in clips. You'll find him, yelling and screaming like a maniac, smoking darts, just being a lovable baseball guy. And for me, it was like, yeah, it's clear he was Detroit Tiger baseball for that period of time. And outside of that period of time, prior to 1984 and some of those 80s Tiger teams, and you go into the 60s, the Tigers have just been terrible. Like, he ushered in a period of Tiger baseball where the Tigers were consistently playoff / competitive baseball. And I figure it makes perfect sense to retire him. However, there was a large myriad of people who do not think his number should have been retired. And I'm shocked by it. Like, what would he have had to do? And the common retort is, well, he never won a World Series, so he was here. Okay. That's true. He never won a World Series. He made 2. It was more than he ever did for any other team. But he didn't win. And largely, they got destroyed. But as a manager, he did win a World Series, right? Like, I mean, who else is going to honor Jim Leland as a manager? Definitely not going to be the Rockies, right? Maybe the Marlins. That would be a bit of a stretch. He was only the manager for a couple of years. The Pirates, I mean, as a Pirates manager, I think he had a losing record. As a Pirates manager, he had a losing record. So they're probably not going to honor him. That wouldn't make any sense. So it naturally comes that, of course, like if he is going to be honored by anybody, it would be the Tigers. So some people say, well, he shouldn't be honored at all. Okay, well, I don't really subscribe to that. I don't know how you can think that. When a guy has the third most wins as a manager in the entire history of the franchise, I think that's pretty significant. And when the guy was instrumental in the development of the pitchers like Justin Verlander, like Max Scherzer, like and then in hitters like we see Ian Kinsler, or not Ian Kinsler. I don't know why Ian Kinsler came into my, I mean, I like Ian Kinsler, but he was there when actually, was Ian Kinsler? I think Ian Kinsler might have been after. I don't know why. I don't know why Ian Kinsler. Brandon Inge was, something. Like, he was never a great hitter, but he was always a pretty decent defender. You also had, obviously, Miguel Cabrera really, made a name for himself under Jim Leland. I mean, like, you had the MVP, the Triple Crowns, all the best times of Miguel Cabrera were with Jim Leland. Unless you want to go and look at some of those Marlins seasons, that's fine. But he is a Tiger, and he's known when he was under Jim Leland. Who am I thinking of? I mean, look, the Tigers didn't develop a lot of hitters, all right? But either way, Jim Leland was there for all the successes of the 2000s. And the other thing about it that, like, are we really going to live under the you only put guys who win World Series on the wall? Because I really have a hard time believing that the Tigers are not going to retire Miguel Cabrera's number. I have a really, really hard time believing that's going to be the case. And basically, Miguel Cabrera and Jim Leland, for me at least, it's parallel in that if you have one, you're going to have the other, right? Like Miguel Cabrera, did he win a World Series with the Tigers? Nope. He did win a pennant. Yeah, that's true. He won multiple divisions with us, and that's about it, right? Like he hit 500 home runs, not all with us, but most of them were with us. Like, one might say, well, Miguel Cabrera is an all-time great player. Jim Leland is not even in the top whatever the heck of managers, and I don't really know. I don't. I'm not going down the lines of all-time great managers, but certainly for Tiger, like this is the thing. It is a Tigers unique thing, right? Like it, and outside of that, he's already been acknowledged by the baseball world as a Hall of Fame manager. So it's like the baseball world sees him as a Hall of Fame manager, And I would say if he would have ended his career in '99 with the Rockies and never come back to the Tigers, no, he would not have been a Hall of Famer. So it was that Tigers tenure that tipped the edge. And again, another player, Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander never won a title with the Tigers. He got 2 pennants. Justin Verlander might even be more so like Leland in that, 2 pennants, and obviously, the Cy Youngs, the MVPs, all that. All-Stars, all that jazz. But never won a World Series. If that's the defining line, well, then basically every Tiger since 1984, no matter how good, no matter how beloved by the fans or by the baseball world, they're not in it. They're not in it. I mean, it's like some people make it sound like we're retiring, Craig Monroe's number or Placido Polanco. No, that's not what's happening. We're talking about a Hall of Fame manager who made your team relevant for over half a decade and is at least the third best manager in franchise history. I think Jim Leland deserves to have his number retired. I'd be happy to hear some other more, articulate cases as to why outside of, well, he didn't win a World Series, so he doesn't deserve it. Okay. I mean, again, that disqualifies a myriad of players that were on this team. So yeah, if that's the standard, then fine, that's the standard. But to me, it's if you're a Hall of Famer and if you spent most of your time as a Tiger, I think your number is going to end up being retired. And there's one more thing here. There's some I saw like, oh well, we're going to run out of space. Make more room. I don't know. Like, why is that our problem? Like, you would run out of space if you just kept putting guys that you say deserve it. Like the principle still applies, right? Like, it's not like, oh, you just magically have more space now because you're putting only guys that deserve it. I mean, I actually watched a video the other day about the Yankees. I believe it's And That's Baseball, that YouTube channel. Very good YouTube channel, by the way. And he was talking about how, like, the Yankees are running out of numbers because they retire so many players' numbers. Like, we're not even in that situation with the Tigers. We got plenty of numbers, right? Like, we're not running out of numbers, and we're not really running out of room. You know, we can make room. We can adjust the ballpark. You can change things. Heck, you can get a new ballpark. I don't know. Like, either way, Leland, for me, he's always been the Tiger manager. He's the face of when Tiger baseball was serious and when it was good and fun. So he'll always have a special place in my heart. I believe his number should be retired in Comerica Park. I think it's a good thing. And the ceremony was cool. And the game that they ended up playing was great. They ended up winning, walking it off. That was fun. So good for Jim Leland. He's a Hall of Famer. He deserves to be on the wall. That's that. All right. We are nearly at the end here, folks. So real quick, this was breaking news today. I was really sad. Emmanuel Mosley tears his pec, out indefinitely. Guy can't catch a break. That really sucks. I thought would have been a nice piece to the secondary, but unfortunately, he's just made of tissue paper. I really don't know. I don't understand what the issue is. And it's not like he's re-injuring something, so that's sort of out of the question, right? It's not like he's, what's the word? Like he doesn't keep, re-aggravating the injury or opening the wound, so to speak. It's like ACL on one end, the other ACL. Now a torn pec, which I believe was the same injury that C.J. Gardner-Johnson had last year, where he ended up coming back later in the season. So it's not like, I suppose if you're going to have an injury like this, you'd rather it happen now, where, maybe he's able to come back within like week 15. Like, I don't remember when CJ came back from it. And again, it depends upon what the nature of the tear is. If it's a bad tear, then he might just not come back. I mean, he's on a 1-year deal, so it's not like we're like invested in this guy for a long period of time, but still, it sucks. I think he would have been a decent part of that secondary, at least from a vet standpoint. But I mean, at this point, I don't, you haven't played, a full game in over 2 years at this point. I don't even know if you have it in you anymore. If your instincts are probably much different than they would normally be. So hoping for the best for Emmanuel Mosley. He is the Lion who was not, who just could never be a Lion. I've seen him play like 2 times. Like, I think it was 2 snaps against the Carolina Panthers, and then he died. I'm laughing because I can't cry. Basically, that's my excuse. But for those of you who have been around for at least last year, we are at this point in the show where we do the thing that many people do all the time, and that would be, of course, the picks. Season picks. Yes, we will. I know this is stupid. This is crazy, and there's no reasoning behind any of it. We're basically we might as well just pick based on the color. So here we go. Panthers at the Patriots. Seth is taking the Pats here. The Patriots. And I'm going to agree. I'm going to take the Patriots. I don't know if Drake May is going to play, but I don't care. The Panthers are terrible, and their owner is a loser and a jerk, so I don't like them. Lions heading to New York, taking on the New Jersey Giants. Seth is taking the Lions. Good man. Seth taking the Lions. I'm obviously taking the Lions. I'm never going to pick against Lions. Understand? Short of the Lions being the worst possible team, I'm never going to pick them. Never. Not going to happen. Even if they were bad, I would never pick them. The Falcons heading to Miami, taking on the Dolphins. Seth is taking the Fins. This is actually... See, the problem with taking preseason games, I don't even know who's playing. Maybe is Penix playing? Maybe. I actually don't know. We'll take the Falcons. Why not? New coach. I don't know. Falcons. Maybe Penix will play. Maybe. I don't think he will. But maybe. Texans taking on the Steelers. Seth is taking the Houston Texans. Yeah, sure. Why not? Texans. I don't know. The Steelers are a boring brand of football, and I can't imagine if their brand of football is boring in the regular season, it's got to be even more boring in the preseason. So, going with the Texans. Eagles versus the Ravens, or on the road against the Ravens, I should say. Seth is taking the Eagles. I will disagree. I will take the Birds of Baltimore, mostly because I will never pick the Phillies. I'll never pick the Eagles. Those people in Philadelphia don't deserve help. They need to be locked away in that dome from the Simpsons movie. We need to lock them in and make sure they don't affect the rest of the world. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus and batteries. Not good. Commanders at the Jets. Seth is taking the Commies. I will also take the Commies. Again, I just can't take the Jets. I can't. It's a loser organization. They're always bad. They technically won a Super Bowl, but I will never pick them. I don't care. Up next, the Bears up against the Billies. Let's see. Seth is taking the Billies, and I will also take the Bills. So Caleb Williams is not playing. I know that for a fact because he said, and I think the Bears said. Yeah, and when he's not playing, they're going to throw Tyson Bagent or whatever his name is out there. Give me the Bills. I don't know. I don't know who the Bills are going to throw. They'll probably throw Dawson Knox out there to be quarterback. I don't know. Raiders at the Vikings. Seth is taking the Vikings, and I wonder if we'll get a look at JJ. Ooh. You know what, though? I'm going to go with the Raiders. I like the coach. What's his name? Antonio Pierce. I like him. I think he's a good coach. I think the Raiders might actually be potentially kind of fun. I don't know. Probably not that fun. They got Aiden O'Connell as the quarterback. So they might be more fun on defense, though. I don't know. Give me the Raiders. I don't know. It's preseason. What are you going to do? Get mad at me because of preseason predictions? Preseason. Whatever. Packers heading to Cleveland, taking on the Brownies. Seth is taking the Browns. Yeah, I'll take the Browns. I don't like the Packers. I don't need to give any other reason. Anyway, moving on. Buccaneers heading to Cincy, taking on the Bengals. Seth is taking the Bungles. And yeah, you know what? I'll take the Bengals too. Assuming that they're starting Jake Browning. I don't even know if he's still on their team. Jake Browning was actually decent last year, coming in for the injured Burrow. So yeah, give me the Bengals. I don't know. I don't know I don't know who any of these teams are going to be playing. It's going to be terrible brands of football all around, but I'll take the Bengals. We got a few more games going. The Chiefs heading to Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. Seth has taken the Chiefs. You know what? I'll take the Jaguars just to change things up. The only reason that I will take them is because I think it would just be fine. I have no reason to believe that they are. Is CJ Beathard? Is he still their backup? I don't know. That could maybe he could put something together. I don't know. 49ers up against the Titans. Seth is taking. Where is it? Did he not? Oh, there it is. 49. 49ers. Yeah, I'll take the 49ers. I don't know if the Titans are a real football team. I'm not sure they're aware that they're supposed to compete. They technically, they did get what's his name? They get L'Jarius Sneed, but he's not gonna play. Outside of him, I don't know. Something ain't right in Tennessee. Something ain't right. Up next, the Seahawks heading to Los Angeles, take on Seth's Chargers. Obviously, he is taking his Chargers. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll take the Birds. The Birds. The Bird Zappers. I'll take the Chargers. You got two new coaches in Seattle. and the Chargers, both with 2 new coaches. So I don't know, it might be kind of an interesting game to see how their coaching styles match against one another. Also, 2 former Michigan coaches, Jim Harbaugh and is Seahawks coach, is that McDonald? Hold on, I gotta look this up. Hold on. Seahawks coach. Mike McDonald, yeah. So Mike McDonald, former Michigan defensive coordinator also. And then obviously with John Harbaugh. So, hey, not a connection there. Saints at the Cardinals. Seth is taking the Saints. I don't know why you're doing that. Give me the Birds. The Saints are terrible. I hate the Saints. They're just so... They're like the NFC Steelers. Like, they have no style. Their coach, well, I guess the Steelers have a good coach. Their coach, not good. Dennis Allen. Is that his name? He's like a made-up coach. I'm not convinced that he's a real person. Anyway, Broncos up against the Colts. Seth is taking the Colts. I'm going to take the Broncos. I don't know if Bonehead Hart, maybe Zach Wilson will start. Maybe we'll get a look at Zach Wilson. I don't know. I don't know who any of these teams are. Give me the Broncos. I don't know. Thanks. And finally, Cowboys at the Rams. Seth is taking the Cowboys, and I will also disagree there. Hey, the Rams. I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I'm not picking the Cowboys this time. In preseason, when there's no consequences and I have no information, I will simply pick against the Cowboys on instinct. So, give me the Rams. So, with that, run down the picks right here. Panthers at the Patriots. We are both taking the Patriots. Lions at the Giants. We are both taking the Lions. Falcons at the Dolphins. Seth is taking the Dolphins. I am taking the Falcons. Texans at the Steelers. We are both taking the Texans. Eagles at the Ravens. Seth is taking the Eagles. I am taking the Ravens. Commanders at the Jets. We are both taking the Commanders. Bears at the Bills. We are both taking the Bills. Raiders at the Vikings. Seth takes the Vikings. I take the Raiders. Packers at the Browns. We are both taking the Browns. Buccaneers at the Bengals. We are both taking the Bengals. Chiefs at Jaguars. Seth is taking the Chiefs. I am taking the Jaguars. 49ers at Titans. We are both taking the 49ers. Seahawks at Chargers. We are both taking the Chargers. Saints at Cardinals. Seth is taking the Saints. I am taking the Cardinals. Broncos at the Colts. Seth is taking the Colts. I am taking the Broncos. And Cowboys at the Rams. Seth is taking the Cowboys. I am taking the Rams. And those are your preseason Week 1 picks. And that's it. That's the show. We got nothing else here. So, like I said earlier in the show, or at the beginning of the show, Thursday night, we'll be back. Football, live broadcast, live play-by-play reaction. Hey, it's preseason football, but it's still football. We'll be able to see what some of these guys who have been making a name for themselves in training camp, how they do in a real live game. The Lions and the Giants joint practices have been very chippy. I don't know if that's going to translate to the game. We could get some entertainment. And apparently the weather is going to be a little ugly. So we might get some, it might be some boring football. But it's preseason football. It's live football. The Lions are back. Looking forward to it. So we'll be back on Thursday with that live reaction. And then every week we'll be having 2 live shows every week, barring the bye week, of course, and the other weeks in which I won't be able to broadcast the game. We're back, man. This is crazy. It's so weird. It's been, it's been a wild ride. I mean, it's already been a year since we started the show. We're 244 subscribers strong, which is, as far as I'm concerned, you're doing the show and getting over 200 subs. That's pretty awesome. So I appreciate everyone for subscribing and liking and commenting and all that fun stuff. So if you did enjoy, leave a comment in the comment section. Let's have a discussion about any of the topics that we talked about. All good stuff, all fun stuff I love to talk with you all about. Leave a like, hit the subscribe. We're live every Tuesday. Once again, we'll be live on Thursday night. If you are down to watch some preseason football with me, we'll be watching it live. It's going to be quite the experience. So, with that, though, we're going to wrap up the show here. I will see you all, hopefully, on Thursday night. If not, I will see you next Tuesday. We'll be able to break down all the sporting news of the week and anything else that happens. So, with that, have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you all, hopefully, this Thursday night. Go Lions. See you later. See